How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Whiskier. We're about to head into another local store here called Patriots to get a bourbon hunt going. Now, this is one of the 4 stores that are partnered with Veterans, Freedom, Clicks, and this one is Patriot. They're all a team. They pick the same barrels together. Very curious to see what kind of barrel picks they have in right now and just the overall selection on the shelf. So we'll see you inside. All right, y'all. So we're here at Patriots Liquor, and one thing I want to start off with, they have a store pick, a 21-year-old whiskey. American whiskey just caused with a Navy seal on it, SEAL Team 4. So a 21-year-old whiskey for $124. I don't think you're going to find that price and that old of whiskey anywhere. And then moving on for $54.99, an Ezra Brooks cask strength. And this one's coming in at 126 proof. That sounds really good. Now, this is one thing I want to point out too. I don't see many stores doing picks of something like this. A Widow Jane 10-year single barrel. That's got to be pretty dang good. And then we have a Yellowstone store pick. One thing I want to point out is the 119 proof. Once these Yellowstones get about 115 or higher, they are just absolutely money. Price on this is going to be $69.99. Super solid, especially for the proof point that this is at. All right, now we have another Art of the Spirits, a local distillery here, aged a little over 7 years. This is a rye finished in bourbon barrels, and the bourbon barrel that it's finished in, a lot of you might know, is Weller barrels. That is pretty sweet that you can get here at Patriots. So I was just told by management here that this rye whiskey is for all of you super rye lovers. Coming in at 126 proof. It is very spicy. Another Colorado distillery here, and the price on this is $109.99. For a lot of you barrel fans too, they have their own single barrel here. This one's coming in at 121 proof. That sounds just absolutely amazing. A lot of the products that come out of barrel are just fantastic. And this one is finished in, not even gonna try to announce that, but a sherry barrel, which is normally pretty dang sweet. Pretty excited about this one.
Xenomorph.
Not even gonna try. All right, y'all, so now let's go down the aisles and talk about some of the awesome whiskey and bourbons that they have to offer here to you. One thing I wanna talk about real quick, not gonna ever drink this or buy it. It's a peanut butter flavored whiskey, but that's gotta be one of the coolest bottles in all of whiskey. I mean, so cool. It is, hold on. Peanut butter and jalapeno. That just, what? They might just sell me on that alone because this is something that I want to try now. 35, so 70 proof, but that's definitely the coolest bottle in whiskey. Even if it's empty, it'd make a cool decanter or something like that. This is something, guys, look, do any of you know where this comes from, what it is? I think this is one of the coolest bottles in the store right now with this big wood topper, the gold labeling. They know what they're doing when it comes to marketing. The only thing that I don't know about this is it's kind of hard to see the whiskey just because the bottle itself is so dark, but they do have 100 proof, and this one is going to be 47.5. Okay, I'm not good at math, so I'm not going to add it up, but $89.99 for both of them. Moving on to, this is one of the few stores that you're going to see standard Peerless selections here. They have the Peerless Small Batch for $84.99 and the Peerless Small Batch Rye Whiskey for $109.99. I just want to say too, I know some of you might already know, but I love the Peerless bottles. They look like they're straight out of the 50s or 60s. Such a cool, hefty bottle. 111 proof, and this is 108 proof for the rye. It's another sick-ass bottle. Another one, man. Some of these companies nowadays are getting just such cool labels. You can see that. Like, looks like a video game cover, if you will, but this is... Okay, this is Catoctin Creek Rye Whiskey coming in at 46%. It's a really cool bottle with the cool topper, like the Spartan helmet on top. And this one's $94.99. Do any of you know anything about this? One thing I'll point out too, they have the Whistle Pig Summer Stock collab with Pit Viper for $74.99. Probably pretty hard to find right now, especially since summertime's over. A lot of these bottles probably sold out, but they do have it here at Patriots for a great price. And I think that's something cool to try, especially being the rye whiskey collab with Pit Viper. Just, it's a cool bottle to have on the shelf too. You know, it's a looker. All right, y'all. Now, this is a great selection of Nulu. Y'all know how much of a fan I am of Nulu. They had the French Oak, they had the Reserve, and my personal favorite is the Toasted. $84.99 for the Toasted, $79.99 for the Reserve, and $74.99 for the French Oak. Okay, now we have some Oak and Eden. I've only had one Oak and Eden recently that I actually kind of was digging, These are the ones, guys, like you could see how dark it is. I don't even know if you could see that wooden spire inside, but that's the whole niche of this company is they want to continue aging the bourbon even after you buy it with that spire. So this one is a Cabernet steeped oak, and this one is a charred oak rye. So this is a rye whiskey with that spire inside, just to give it even more age. Next, they have their Horse Soldier collection. They have it all from their straight bourbon to their barrel strength to their small batch. The only one I've tried is the straight bourbon. If any of you tried these two, I'm very curious to know what you thought of them. I did hear that the barrel strengths can be pretty good. And one thing that I do want to talk about real quick, I heard that Horse Soldier is building like a $15 million facility in Kentucky to continue and revamp their whole program. So I'm very curious to see what that's going to look like in the next few years. I think they're definitely something to talk about. One thing that was just pointed out to me is the Steeple Ridge. They're a super, super old farm is what I was told, and they use all their own grain grown on the farm. The store favorite, they said, is this sweet mash rye coming in at 92 proof, and it is $42.99 for this. Something to look out for. Personally never had it, but definitely piques my interest, especially for them using their own grain. That's something that I really, really love. More recently, like from grain to bottle, just super cool. And you're also supporting that local business or that smaller business. So Steeple Ridge. And now, of course, you have a Maker's Mark private selection. This one's called Breakfast at Epiphany's. There you have the barrel stave profiles that they use on this barrel for $79.99. One thing I want to point out, a lot of times you can find a Maker's Mark selection that is just as good as their annual releases that they release, such as this year's BEP. And they say it's the last year, which is unfortunate. However, look out for these Maker's Mark private selections because I absolutely love them and I keep them on my shelf at all times. They have a couple of the barrel lineups here as well. One bottle that I want to point out in particular that I've never seen is that Barrel Bourbon New Year. Do any of you know, this one says that it's the year 2021. Do they just release a certain amount of bottles for that special year? Especially with that being the year of 2021? Is that something super sought after right now? For $94.99 though, they have it here. That is the first time I've ever seen it, and I have no clue what it is. Up here you have your Bardstown. They have a couple of the Discovery Series and the Foursquare. That is one that people just absolutely go crazy about, is that Foursquare. And depending on what Discovery Series this is 9. They're both 9, but that's the mash bill if you're curious. Don't even know if you can see that. I think we might have just found the find of the day. Stag. Red Stag, gotcha. Keep you on your toes at all time. Red Stag here, $18.99, peeps. Come on. Smoke Wagon Uncut Unfiltered, along with the small batch straight. They also have Smoke Wagon Uncut the Younger, which I'm a huge fan of. I think that's one of the best high proof whiskeys. If you're trying to dive into those higher proofs for $49.99, it can't be beat. The find of the day, the one that's coming home with me. I am so thrilled to find this in a store. We recently did a review on this, and I'm telling you, this is one of my top 5 whiskeys of the year easily. It's this Penelope American Light Whiskey, aged 15 years. Now, they only have 3, so if you're watching this video and they haven't sold out by then, I would hurry down here. $99.99 for this American Light. And then right next to it, they also have their straight bourbon and their toasted as well, which are also fantastic. But I am telling you, this is basically like a Stag Junior, just dialed down a little bit, not as dark. It is so good. It has such a great finish. I absolutely loved it. If you haven't watched the review on that and you kind of want to know what flavors I'm talking about, go ahead and check out that review because I think we did an awesome job at it. This one's coming home with me tonight though. Off topic, a little bit off bourbon. Not so far off bourbon though. This is a Corazon tequila, añejo, but this is aged in Buffalo Trace barrels. And I want to say, I was able to try this the other day and it is fantastic. If you like bourbon and you kind of like tequila, I promise you, you're going to love this. This sips and smells more like a bourbon than it does a tequila. I was blown away.
Very hard to find.
How much is that one?
It's like, Jesus, like 5,000.
Are you serious?
I'm not joking.
Can we see the bottle?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think.
Okay. Now here we have Louis Martin. This is something I have no clue about, but wow, that is probably one of the coolest packagings I've ever seen when it comes to a bottle of anything. Jesus Christ. All right, so this is the Rabbit Hole Founder Selection, super, super limited bottle. They only have one on the shelf, but if this is something that you've been hunting for, they do have it here, so come grab it while it lasts. All All right, so here right behind me is their allocation shelf. Now, if you don't see a point sticker under it, that means it is free to buy. However, they do run points for those special bottles that come through sometimes. But right now, they have special bottles that you can buy that don't require points, such as the very first one is Penelope Valencia, batch number 2. Now, this is one that I've talked about, done reviews on, talked about it in live streams. I absolutely love the Penelope Valencia. I personally think it's a Blanton's killer. So if those of you that have been hunting for Blends or like Blanton's a lot, the Penelope Valencia, I think, is just that much better. And we'll talk about this too real quick, because this made Fred Minnick's Bourbons of the Year. This is batch B523. This is one that I have had on the shelf for a while now. I find myself going to it a lot. It is a fantastic whiskey coming out of Larceny. Now, this is a wheated bourbon. However, this is where you get that barrel proof from a wheated bourbon, something that you don't normally see a lot. I think the ones that a lot of people talk about is going to be a Weller Full Proof, but if you're looking into getting into that higher proof wheateds, I promise you this Larceny Barrel Proof is just fantastic. This is probably only the 3rd store that I've seen carry this Green River single barrel. This one's coming in at 119 proof, and I have heard nothing but great things, especially coming out of Green River as a whole. Really big fan of the wheated, and I heard that these single barrel bourbons are just fantastic. Find of the month, guys. Find of the month. Penelope, come on now, 15-year-old American light whiskey. I was so pumped that they had this on the shelf, and it was $99.99. What a fantastic price. All their prices are absolutely fantastic in this store. What a great selection. They have some great picks in, and just want to tell you, they have a Four Roses single barrel pick coming in soon, an Old Forester barrel pick, and a Russell's Reserve barrel pick as well. That's going to be super exciting. I can't wait to try all 3 of those, but super great score today, and thanks for watching Whiskey here. We'll see you in the next one.